Hello and welcome to Cinema Screen HD. Today we're diving into a spine-chilling 2015 horror fantasy movie, Krampus. This is a film that will keep you on edge, leaving you guessing what could happen next. The story follows a young boy who strongly believes in Christmas and Santa Claus. As the holiday approaches, he even writes letters to Santa. However, things take a turn when a group of troublesome relatives arrive. Among them are some mischievous kids who mock him and his belief in Santa, even going as far as reading his letter aloud and ridiculing him. Hurt and angry, the boy tears up his letter and wishes it would be better if not there was a day called Christmas. Now, here's where it gets interesting. There's someone who punishes those who don't respect Christmas. That someone is Krampus. On that very night, a massive snowstorm hits the town. But is it just a storm? Who will come to their doorstep? And what terrifying events will unfold as a result of mocking Christmas? Will they manage to escape Krampus, or will they face his wrath? To uncover all these mysteries, stay with us until the very end of this video. And before we get started, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon to receive all updates. Now, let's jump into the video. The main character of this story is Max, a young boy. His family includes his father, Tom, his mother, Sarah, his sister, Beth, and his grandmother, Omi. They are preparing everything to celebrate Christmas. As usual, their relatives join them for the festivities. This year, Sarah's sister Linda comes with her husband, Howard, their two daughters, Jordan and Stevie, their son, Howie, and their infant baby. However, this time, an additional guest, Aunt Dorothy, accompanies them. Sarah is visibly annoyed by Dorothy's arrival, which sparks tension between Sarah and Linda. Although Max is not happy about the relatives being there, he doesn't have much choice but to tolerate them. Max believes in Christmas spirit and Santa Claus deeply, and every year he writes a letter to Santa without fail. This year, though, Stevie and Jordan sneakily get hold of Max's letter and loudly read it out in front of everyone. Max tries to stop them, but Beth advises him to remain calm. Despite this, the girls mock Max and even joke about Santa crashing his sleigh, breaking his legs, being unable to walk, and resorting to eating his reindeer out of hunger, implying that Santa won't be coming this Christmas. This mocking angers Max, and he lashes out at them. Eventually, Tom and Howard step in to stop the fight. Frustrated and in tears, Max declares that he hates Christmas and everyone around him before storming off to his room. Later, his father, Tom, comes to check on him and tries to console him. Tom explains that since the relatives are only staying for 3 days, that we must be patient. When Max asks if they should really spend Christmas with such annoying relatives, Tom gently reminds him that family means learning to get along with all kinds of people and being patient with them. Tom then encourages Max to take his letter to Santa and post it in the mailbox, reassuring him that it's not too late to fix things. Though initially convinced, Max ultimately tears up the letter in frustration and throws the pieces out of his window. As the scraps of paper float away into the sky, a massive snowstorm suddenly engulfs the entire town, cutting power to every house, one by one. Eventually, even Max's house goes dark. The next morning, just 2 days before Christmas, Max looks out his window and sees a snowman eerily standing in the yard. Meanwhile, inside the house, Sarah is anxious because with 11 people in the house, no power, and the storm intensifying, things are getting increasingly uncomfortable. At this point, Max goes to Sarah and tells her that there's a snowman outside. Sarah and Tom head out to take a look, but they can't figure out who might have built it. What makes it even stranger is that none of their neighbors seem to be home. Most of them have left town for Christmas, so the question remains, who made the snowman? With this mystery lingering, let's continue discussing the story. A little later, the doorbell rings and Linda answers it. A delivery person hands her a parcel and leaves. Linda notices another large package on the porch and assumes it's another delivery for Sarah. She and Howard bring it inside together. Meanwhile, Beth approaches Sarah and says that her boyfriend, Derek, hasn't been responding to her messages. This is unusual, and Beth asks if she can go check on him. While Sarah is reluctant, Tom assures her that it's fine and tells Beth to come back quickly. Reluctantly, Sarah agrees but insists that Beth return home within an hour. Beth quickly sets off for Derek's house, which is only 4 or 5 houses away. As she walks, she notices that the entire town is blanketed in snow. Not only that, but all the houses seem abandoned, with no people or vehicles in sight. It's eerily quiet and desolate. Suddenly, Beth sees a large creature with enormous hooves and a strange, tattered cloak standing on the roof of Derek's house. Terrified, Beth screams and starts running while calling for help. The creature leaps from the roof and begins chasing her. In her panic, Beth spots a delivery van parked nearby and runs toward it. She peers through the van's window, hoping to find someone inside, but instead she sees the delivery boy who had come to their house earlier, now frozen solid inside the vehicle. Horrified, Beth crawls under the van to hide. Moments later, the creature reaches the van, lingering for a while before leaving. As Beth tries to collect herself, she notices a jack-in-the-box lying on the ground nearby. The handle on the toy begins to turn slowly on its own. It suddenly stops, and from within, a monstrous creature emerges, attacking Beth and pulling her inside the box. As Tom and Sarah are talking, Max approaches them and points out that it's getting late, but Beth still hasn't returned home. Concerned, Tom asks Howard if his Hummer can handle driving through the storm to search for Beth. Howard agrees without hesitation, saying, "Let's go." The two prepare to leave, but at that moment, Omi, Tom's mother, warns them not to go. Despite her plea, they decide to head out and look for Beth. While driving, they come across a snowplow, abandoned in the middle of the road. Though the keys are still in the ignition, there's no sign of the driver. Noticing the shattered windshield, Tom grows uneasy and tells Howard they need to find Beth quickly. Grabbing a rifle from the Hummer, they arm themselves and continue their search. Meanwhile, back at the house, Sarah and Linda are reminiscing about their childhood. Suddenly, they hear strange noises coming from the roof. Sarah brushes it off, assuming it's just squirrels or snow sliding off, but everyone else feels uneasy, sensing it might be something more. Back outside, Tom and Howard reach Derek's house, but it's empty. As they search, Tom finds a photo of Beth and Derek on the floor. Picking it up, he looks distraught, but Howard reassures him, saying, "Don't worry, we'll find her." Moments later, Howard notices the fireplace has been blown apart, possibly from an explosion. Showing it to Tom, he speculates that a gas line may have burst. However, Tom notices something else, a large hoof print near the fireplace. When he points it out, Howard dismisses it, suggesting it could belong to a goat or a deer. Tom then asks skeptically, what kind of deer walks on its hind legs? Their conversation is interrupted by what sounds like Beth screaming for help. Following the sound, they rush into the storm, but something entirely unexpected happens. Out of nowhere, a creature emerges from beneath the snow and grabs Howard's leg, pulling him down. Tom tries to pull Howard back, but the creature is too strong. It begins biting Howard's leg, and in desperation, Tom fires his rifle at the creature. The shot forces it to release Howard and retreat into the snow. Seizing the opportunity, Tom drags Howard back to safety, but when they return to the Hummer, they are met with yet another horrifying sight. It's completely destroyed and engulfed in flames. Hearing the gunshot, Sarah insists on going out to look for Tom and Howard. As she opens the door, Tom and Howard rush inside, telling her to shut the door immediately and bring the first aid kit. Everyone is visibly panicked. Linda quickly sends the kids to the kitchen with Aunt Dorothy, while Tom begins tending to Howard's injured leg. As they discuss what happened, Tom insists they need to lock every door and window in the house and stay inside. Taking his advice seriously, the group reinforces every entrance with wooden planks to ensure nothing can get in. Meanwhile, Linda distracts the children by giving them a tablet to watch a video and tries to keep things calm. Afterward, everyone prepares to rest for the night. As Howard lays down, he apologizes to Tom, saying, "I'm sorry for thinking you were a coward," and thanks him for saving his life. Tom reassures him that everything will be fine. Max then approaches Tom and nervously asks, "Dad, are we going to die?" Tom responds gently, No, that's not going to happen." Max continues, "Why has Omi been acting so strange since the storm started?" Tom admits, she always gets a little anxious during Christmas, but we don't really know why. Though Omi's fear seems unexplained at this point, it's something that will become clearer as the story unfolds. Later, Sarah tucks Max into bed, urging him to try to sleep. Tom advises that one of them should stay awake to keep watch. Howard volunteers, saying, "You go spend time with your family, I'll stay up." However, as the night goes on, Howard eventually dozes off, leaving the house eerily quiet. The fireplace has gone completely cold, and the battery on the tablet the children were watching has died, turning it off. Suddenly, from inside the fireplace, a large hook with a chain begins to descend. At the end of the chain, there's a gingerbread man hanging ominously. The chain begins to sway as if responding to someone's call. Hearing the sound, Howie, Linda's son, known for his insatiable appetite, approaches the fireplace. Without hesitation, he pulls on the chain and retrieves the gingerbread man attached to it. Unable to resist, he breaks off a piece and eats it. But as soon as he takes a bite, the gingerbread man springs to life, screaming loudly. The chain suddenly wraps around Howie's body and starts dragging him toward the fireplace. Due to Howie's weight, he isn't pulled in immediately, causing loud noises that alert everyone else. Seeing this, the family panics. Sarah rushes to grab Howie's legs in an attempt to save him. However, the chain pulls her closer to the fireplace as well. Tom leaps forward, grabbing Sarah, while Linda and Howard join in to help pull her back. Despite their efforts, Sarah is dragged partway into the fireplace. At that moment, the gingerbread man appears right in front of her face, screaming menacingly and scaring her. Sarah cries out for help, and together, the others manage to pull her out. But just as Howie is also being dragged out, Sarah loses her grip, and he is pulled straight into the fireplace. The chain carries Howie up the chimney, disappearing entirely. When Howard looks into the fireplace, the only thing that falls back down is one of Howie's shoes. The family is horrified. Omi then steps forward, reignites the extinguished fire in the fireplace, and solemnly says, "This is happening because of our mistakes. He's coming for all of us." She turns to the group and adds, "I have something to tell you, and you must listen carefully." Omi begins to recount a story from her childhood, taking everyone back to a dark winter many years ago. As Omi explains, it was a time when her village had lost the joy and meaning of Christmas. She had always believed in Santa Claus, hoping he would come to bring back the happiness that had disappeared. However, the people in her village had abandoned their faith in Christmas and the spirit of giving. Instead, they lived in selfishness and bitterness, even Omi's own family. Despite her attempts to spread joy, her efforts were ignored, and the people remained unhappy. It was then, for the first time, that Omi began to lose hope. She, too, let go of her belief in Christmas. On a particularly cold and dark Christmas Eve, something terrible happened. A fierce snowstorm swept through the entire village, covering it completely in ice and snow. But this was no ordinary storm. It brought with it the ancient, malevolent spirit of St. Nicholas's shadow, known as Krampus. Krampus had not come to grant wishes or deliver gifts. He had come to punish those who had turned their backs on the true meaning of Christmas. Krampus began taking Omi's family and the wrongdoers in the village, dragging them all to the depths of the underworld. All Omi could do was watch helplessly. She waited, expecting Krampus to come for her as well. But instead, Krampus spared Omi, leaving her behind as a witness to what happens when people abandon their faith in Christmas. He left her with a token, a bell with his name engraved on it. This was not a gift, but a reminder of the consequences of losing the spirit of the season. Omi concluded her story, holding up the bell for everyone to see. However, Howard dismissed her words, calling them nonsense. "This old lady is crazy. Are you all seriously listening to these fairy tales? I'm done with this nonsense. I'm going out to find my kids," he declared. Despite the others trying to stop him, Howard ignored them, opened the door, and stepped outside. The rest of the group followed him to stop him. It was then that they saw something eerie. Snowmen scattered all over the yard, but these weren't ordinary snowmen. They felt sinister. As they stood frozen in fear, they noticed strange figures darting behind the snowmen, their movements accompanied by distant, echoing screams. Realizing the danger, Sarah quickly ushered everyone back inside and locked the door, warning them not to step outside again. Meanwhile, Max turned to Tom and asked, "Dad, what do we do now?" Tom replied, "We need to keep the fire in the fireplace. If it goes out, that's when they'll come." He explained that this was why Omi was so insistent on keeping the fire burning. The story then shifted to the next day, December 24th, Christmas Eve. Linda carried a large bag of presents upstairs while Tom studied a map of the area, trying to figure out a way to escape. At this point, Sarah approached Tom. He told her, "I have an idea, but we need to discuss it with Linda and Howard first." Linda, however, was busy sorting through the presents she had brought in from outside. As she worked, she noticed one of the gift boxes making a strange noise. Curious, she picked it up to investigate. Realizing something was inside, Linda was about to open the box when Sarah interrupted her, saying, "We need to talk to you and Howard about something important." Linda replied, "Can it wait? I need to sort these gifts for the kids first." But Sarah insisted, "This is serious. We can deal with the gifts later." Reluctantly, Linda put the box back down, leaving it unopened. She followed Sarah downstairs to join the others. Tom, Sarah, Linda, and Howard gathered to discuss their next steps. Tom proposed a plan. There's a truck stranded on the road nearby. The keys are still in it, and while it's broken down, I can try to get it started. If I can, I'll drive it back here, and we can all escape in it. Linda asked, "Where would we go?" Sarah replied, "There are 2 shopping centers nearby. If no one's there, we can head to the police station." Linda pressed, "And if no one's at the police station either?" Tom firmly stated, "We'll keep moving until we find someone. We need to get the kids to a safe place first." Sarah added, "Once we've secured a safe spot, we'll come back to look for Beth and Howie." As they discussed, the scene shifted to the pile of gift boxes, which appeared to move slightly, as if something inside was stirring. Meanwhile, Max stood by the window, peering through a telescope to observe the snowy landscape outside. Suddenly, he saw a large, strange creature with glowing eyes and a menacing silhouette standing in the distance. Shocked, Max looked again, but the creature had vanished. Stevie and Jordan, carrying a flashlight, wandered to another part of the house. As they walked, they talked nervously about what had happened to Howie. Suddenly, they heard a voice from the attic calling their names. Believing it was Beth, the 2 stopped and called out, "Beth, where were you? Everyone's been so scared without you." The voice responded, "I'm upstairs. Come on up. I'll show you where I've been waiting." Thinking it was really Beth, Stevie and Jordan began climbing the attic stairs without hesitation. A few moments later, those downstairs heard Jordan scream loudly. Alarmed, everyone grabbed weapons, shotguns and makeshift clubs, and ran toward the sound. As Linda rushed to investigate, she stopped by Dorothy, who had been sitting nearby, and asked angrily, "Where are the kids?" Dorothy nonchalantly replied, "They said they were going to the bathroom." Linda, now furious, demanded, "You let them go alone?" Dorothy snapped back, "Of course I did. What, do you expect me to go with them?" Hearing the commotion, Linda, Sarah, and Tom rushed upstairs. Meanwhile, Max, feeling overwhelmed with guilt, turned to Omi and confessed, "This is all my fault." Omi hugged Max tightly and reassured him, "Don't think like that, my dear." As they comforted each other, a strange noise came from the direction of the kitchen. Howard decided to investigate and called out to his dog, Rosie, to join him. But Rosie, clearly frightened, crawled under a chair to hide. Frustrated, Howard muttered, "Useless dog," and went into the kitchen alone, armed with his shotgun. Inside, he was attacked by 3 living gingerbread men wielding a nail gun. They began firing nails at him relentlessly. Howard dove to the ground, trying to shield himself, but the gingerbread men kept coming. Unable to endure the assault, Howard fired his shotgun, hitting a nearby lamp, which exploded, igniting the gingerbread men. One of them was entirely consumed by flames, while Howard managed to shoot another one down. The last gingerbread man, however, avoided the gunfire and lunged directly at Howard, intending to strike him. Howard, bracing for the worst, closed his eyes in fear. Just then, Rosie, despite Howard's earlier scolding, charged into the kitchen and leaped onto the last gingerbread man, tearing it apart. When Howard opened his eyes and saw what had happened, he exclaimed with joy, "Good girl." Meanwhile, upstairs, Sarah, Linda, and Tom discovered that the pile of gift boxes was now completely empty. As they investigated further, they heard strange noises. Looking closely, they saw a giant, monstrous creature with the face of a clown swallowing Jordan whole. Horrified, Tom fired his shotgun at the creature, but none of the shots landed. The beast escaped, leaving them in shock. Suddenly, a grotesque doll-like creature resembling a twisted bird attacked Sarah, wrapping around her. Linda and Tom tried to pull it off Sarah, but the creature held on tightly. In the chaos, Tom shouted. Linda, distracted by Tom's shout, turned her head just in time to see a monstrous teddy bear lunging at her. The bear attacked her hand, attempting to bite. As if things couldn't get worse, a small, sinister robot jumped onto Tom's back and began stabbing him with sharp metallic arms. The group was overwhelmed, each facing their own nightmare, as they struggled to fight off the terrifying creatures. The scene then shifts to the creature that swallowed Jordan. It attempts to escape through a window, but finds it barred with iron grates. The beast struggles to pry them open. Meanwhile, the grotesque, doll-like creature that had latched onto Sarah grabs a nearby string of lights and wraps it tightly around her neck. The doll then leaps towards the roof, pulling Sarah with it. Sarah begins to suffocate as she dangles from the roof. At the same time, the monster at the window finally succeeds in opening it and starts climbing inside. Linda, who had been wrestling with the demonic teddy bear, notices Stevie lying, unconscious nearby. Furious, Linda grabs an ice pick and hurls it at the teddy bear, striking it in the eye. The creature recoils, and Linda seizes the moment to shove it aside. Determined, Linda grabs an axe from the floor, rushes to the dangling Sarah, and cuts the lights, strangling her. Then, without missing a beat, she strikes the robot, attacking Tom with the axe, and frees him. Linda doesn't stop there. She charges toward the window where the creature is climbing and shouts, "Give me back my children." She slashes at it with all her strength, but the beast manages to evade her attack and escapes. Linda screams in frustration, but it's too late. The creature is gone. She rushes back to Stevie, who is lying on the ground. To her relief, Stevie is still breathing. Sarah, now free, hurries over to Tom and removes the metallic arm embedded in his back. But just as she finishes, she notices the robot creeping up on Tom again. Without hesitation, Sarah grabs a nearby shotgun and shoots the robot, blasting it into pieces. The group regroups and heads downstairs, only to hear a noise above them. Someone seems to be trying to escape in from the roof. Max decides to send Rosie the dog through a nearby window to investigate. Moments later, they hear Rosie growling and biting something. Then, with a loud crash, part of the ceiling gives way, and the Joker-faced monster crashes into the living room. As the dust settles, they realize with horror that the creature has devoured Rosie. Furious, Howard raises his shotgun to shoot the monster, but before he can fire, the demonic teddy bear pounces on him, pinning him to the ground. Howard struggles, but can't take the shot. At that moment, Dorothy, armed with a rifle, steps forward and fires at the teddy bear, sending it flying across the room. Then Tom throws the monstrous doll toward Dorothy. Without hesitation, Dorothy shoots the doll, killing it. Afterward, Tom urges Dorothy to take down the large monster in the room. Dorothy confidently agrees and begins to reload her gun, but she doesn't get the chance to fire. Suddenly, the door behind them bursts open and a group of masked figures storms into the house. They immediately restrain Dorothy with chains while also capturing the Joker-faced beast. Linda, panicking, screams, "Where is my baby?" That's when she sees one of the intruders holding her child. Linda yells at the top of her lungs, begging them to leave her baby behind. But her pleas are ignored, and the figure carrying the baby begins to leave. The group also drags Dorothy along with them. As they take her away, Dorothy defiantly says, "Then I'll see you all in hell." The intruders, along with Dorothy and the beast, disappear into the night. But Howard, filled with rage and despair, refuses to let it end like this. He yells, "I won't let any of you live," and leaps onto the back of the large creature. Everyone else shouts in horror, begging him not to do it, but Howard is unrelenting. He too is dragged away by the masked figures. Some of the intruders remain behind, intent on causing more harm. Just then, everyone hears a strange noise. The intruders freeze, visibly terrified. Without another word, they abandon their mission and flee, leaving the family behind. Omi, sensing what's about to happen, rushes to light the fireplace. But something is wrong. Every match she strikes extinguishes immediately. Tom pleads with her, "Mom, we need to leave now." Yet Omi, determined, keeps trying to ignite the fire. Tom approaches her, raising his voice slightly, "Mom, we need to go now." Finally, Omi snaps back to reality. At that moment, they hear footsteps on the roof. The lights, which had gone out earlier, suddenly flicker back on, casting an eerie glow throughout the house. Christmas carols begin to play, echoing through the air. The family realizes that something truly terrifying is about to happen. Wasting no time, they hurriedly gather their belongings, get dressed, and prepare to leave the house as quickly as possible. At this moment, Tom tells everyone to hold hands and follow him closely. With that, they quickly head outside. However, Omi refuses to leave the house with them. She tells them to take care of each other and then locks the door behind them. Despite their frantic banging and shouting for her to open the door, Omi stands firm and doesn't let them in. Instead, she calmly walks back into the house. Max turns to Tom and says, "She's trying to help us. She wants to face it herself, so we need to leave." Reluctantly, they leave Omi behind and continue their escape. Inside, Omi goes to in front of the fireplace, waiting. A sudden out of the chimney descends a massive, terrifying creature with the cloak of Santa Claus etched on its body. This is Krampus. Krampus approaches Omi, places his clawed hand on her face, and opens his bag. When Omi looks inside, she sees countless strange and horrifying creatures. They immediately leap out and attack her. Meanwhile, the group outside continues their journey. As they press forward, Tom realizes that the creature from earlier, the one that emerged from underground, is following them again. His suspicions are confirmed when it charges straight toward them. Tom fires several shots at it, managing to delay its attack for a short while. He then turns to Sarah and says, "You need to keep going. Don't stop no matter what." Sarah hesitates, but eventually agrees, knowing she has no other choice. Tom pulls Sarah and Max close, saying, "I love you all so much." With that, he sends them ahead and stays behind to confront the creature. Despite his best efforts, Tom runs out of bullets. Accepting his fate, he braces himself as the creature drags him into the snow. Sarah, Max, Linda, and Stevie reach the truck, but before they can leave, the creature reappears and drags Linda away. Using the distraction, Max and Stevie manage to climb into the truck, but Sarah isn't as lucky. The creature comes for her next, grabbing her before she can get in. As she's being taken, Sarah turns to Max and says, "I love you, my son." Max screams as loud as he can, but it's no use. The creature pulls her into the snow. Now, only Max and Stevie are left. The two of them are terrified, and Stevie begins crying, telling Max, "We have to leave now." Max tries desperately to start the truck, but it won't start. Meanwhile, the strange people who had attacked them earlier appear and attempt to capture the two. They manage to grab Stevie and take her away. When one of them tries to grab Max, he fights back, slamming the truck door open with force. The impact sends him tumbling into the snow. As he struggles to get up, the strange creature that emerged from beneath the snow earlier reappears, grabbing he and dragging him into the icy depths. Max quickly climbs out and looks for Stevie, but it's too late. They've taken her away. At this point, Krampus himself appears in front of Max, dropping something at his feet. Max looks down and sees fragments of the letter he had torn up earlier, along with a bell engraved with the name Krampus. Krampus stares at Max briefly before walking away. It becomes clear to Max that Krampus left him alive, just as he had done with Omi, to serve as a reminder of what happens when hope is lost and the spirit of Christmas is forgotten. Determined, Max follows Krampus through the snow and eventually spots him along with his minions who are holding Stevie. Enraged, Max screams, catching Krampus's attention. Krampus turns to face him, and Max declares, "I take back my wish." He throws the bell at Krampus and demands, "Give me my family back." At that moment, the ground beneath them begins to crack open, revealing the fiery depths of the underworld. Max, filled with guilt and regret, approaches Krampus, sobbing, and pleads, "I know you can fix this. Take me instead and give them back." For a moment, Krampus looks at Max, wiping away a tear from his face of sympathy. But then, he and his minions burst into sinister laughter. Without hesitation, Krampus throws Stevie into the fiery pit. Max screams in anguish, and before he can react, Krampus grabs him and tosses him into the abyss as well. Max wakes up suddenly, falling from his bed and screaming. Disoriented, he looks around and realizes it's Christmas morning, December 25th. Everything seems normal. Hearing the voices of his family downstairs, Max rushes down to find everyone alive and well. Even those who had been taken are there, sitting together as if nothing had happened. Max stares in disbelief, unsure if it was all a nightmare or something far more sinister. After that, Max, overwhelmed with relief and joy, hugs Tom and Sarah tightly. However, the happiness doesn't last long. As the family begins exchanging gifts, Max receives a present. When he opens it, he finds the bell with Krampus inscribed on it, the same bell Krampus had given him earlier. Max freezes in shock, and the rest of the family, noticing his reaction, also grows uneasy. It becomes clear that something isn't quite right. Max realizes that while he had begged Krampus to return his family, this wasn't the happy ending he had hoped for. The story ends with a chilling revelation. The scene pans out to show Max and his family inside a snow globe, displayed among many other snow globes in Krampus's collection. It becomes apparent that they are now trapped in Krampus's world, forever a part of his eerie domain. And so this unsettling tale concludes, leaving us with a haunting reminder of the consequences of forgetting the true spirit of Christmas. So, what do you think about today's story? Don't forget to leave a comment and give a like below. Also, if you haven't subscribed to our Cinema Screen HD YouTube channel yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon by selecting all to stay updated. That's it for today. We'll see you soon in the next video. Until then, have a great day, everyone.